Stellantis has embarked on a drastic reduction of its workforce, removing over 94% of FCA employees, especially on the American side of the company. From the problematic Jeep Grand Wagoneers to the Demon 170s having issues and glitches, Ram trucks being supposedly sabotaged, and 400 tech and software engineers recently laid off a month ago. One would question, why would Stellantis lay off engineers who worked on these projects? But what if I told you that a recent article sheds light on a possible answer where Stellantis will employ newer, cheaper engineers overseas? If you guys want some cheaper aftermarket parts at a great price, my friends at Just Bolt-Ons and DragWheelsandWheels.com have you covered. Whether you need some exhaust cutouts from QTP, some aftermarket exhaust systems from Boiler, AWE Tuning, and MBRP, or if you need some wheels and tires to snatch some souls with your Demon 170 or your Super Stock, they have you covered there as well, with some of the cheapest prices online that you can find for your favorite wheels and tires. So check out my friends at DragRacingWheels.com and Just Bolt-Ons, and you can also use my special promo code BUTTER, where you get up to an additional 15% off on select items. So check out my friends at Just Bolt-Ons and DragRacingWheels.com, where some of the best prices online just got a little bit better. If you guys remember this video I did right here, where I covered that Stellantis has fired over 94% of FCA's employees in the US, you'll see that Stellantis has been on a mission to reduce the staff numbers from an estimated 200,000 in 2018 down to about 95,000 in the US in 2020 to, let's say, about 60,000 in 2023, because this buyout right here to 33,000 US employees, that was half of the employees that were still there. And then now you have this article right here from March this year, where now they're down to under 12,000 employees in the US. Stellantis has been targeting the US employees non-stop ever since its inception, when they told all the employees that, hey, this is a merger of equals. This is to save jobs, not cut jobs, which is an absolute lie. Now, if you go look at this new article right here, you'll see that, hey, Stellantis hires $53,000 per year engineers in Brazil, India, and Morocco to cut costs. So now you know exactly why Stellantis has been targeting the US employees, because us in the US, we make too much money apparently. And so what Stellantis is going to do is they're going to fire all the employees who have experience in all these North American vehicles that they worked on for years or even decades. And some people might have been with the company for 20 some years. They're going to fire all of those people and basically employ cheaper people to come in and I guess remote work from home in all these other countries. It comes down not to a lack of talent. It comes down to a lack of profit, or so they say, because Stellantis has been getting record profit ever since the inception, and this is how they are doing it. Not because they're selling more vehicles, it's because they are firing everyone and replacing them with cheaper labor. They targeted the people who had the most seniority, who made the most money, targeted all the people who've been there the longest for the first like 2 years, and then they just started cutting everyone out as they go down and down the list, because these stellar vehicle platforms, they don't need as much engineers because they're all basically the same exact chassis with different vehicles thrown on top of them. So this is how the watered down future that these Europeans have presented us back in 2020. And now we see the actual results of this particular plan. But here we go right here. Stellantis hires $53,000 per year engineers in Brazil, India, and Morocco to cut costs. The maker of Jeeps, Opels, and Chrysler minivans is hiring engineers where the cost per employee amounts to roughly $53,000 or less per year, according to people familiar with the matter. The cost of labor in hubs like Paris and Metro Detroit can be as much as 5 times that amount. Cars in these regions right here, like Morocco, India, and Brazil, those cars don't really look too great. So I'm just saying, maybe there's a reason why these people are paid less, because the cars they make aren't that good looking. Just saying. But here you go right here. The average salary for an employee of Stellantis in engineering is around $96,000 per year, if this is actually accurate. So you can see that they're going to basically cut their prices in half by using talent from other countries. Manufacturers like Tesla and Volkswagen are cutting jobs and moving some production to cheaper venues. I wonder why. While the pressure is the greatest amongst mass market brands, premium automakers like BMW are also adding white-collar jobs in India and elsewhere to tap local talent, which I'm going to say yet again, maybe they are not talent, maybe they are just cheap alternatives. Let's see whether or not the quality follows these people across seas, because it's kind of hard for engineers to diagnose stuff when they're actually not right there where the product is at. Just saying. Stellantis is currently among the more aggressive and now aims to have roughly 2/3 of the company engineers in low-cost countries over the longer term, said the people who spoke on a condition of anonymity. So there you go right there. Stellantis is currently the more aggressive and now aims to have roughly 2/3 of the company's engineers in low-cost countries. So basically you're going to have a skeleton crew over here in the US who's actually going to put their hands on the product, and then they're going to send all the work and stuff overseas to these other people who in a lot of cases can't speak English, and they're going to have to go back and forth through different time zones to resolve issues, which on the end of the day is going to take longer. But because the labor is cheap, dirt cheap, they're not going to care because they're saving money. I know from experience working in corporate IT that a lot of IT tech companies did the same thing. And shocker that Stellantis told us they're going to transition over to a tech company format. That's what this lady said right here.
If the past was about increasing margins by moving customers north in hardware and trim levels, our future is about offering customers software-based services.
Following this week's first quarter revenue presentation, Stellantis shares slumped 10.5%, their biggest drop in 4 years, because now everyone sees the writing on the wall and we all see the smoke behind the BS. This company is not selling more vehicles, they're jacking up prices on vehicles, and people aren't paying the money anymore. Chief Financial Officer Natalie Knight said returns in Europe are suffering from declining demand. Oh my God, Europe is having declining demand in EVs? That is a shocker. It seems people don't want these cars. I'm just saying. There is always more potential when it comes to cost discipline, Knight said. We are going to continue to optimize our labor costs. This is something that has been important both on the white collar and to a lesser extent on the blue collar side. So basically what Natalie is saying there, that they're going to keep exporting vehicles to other countries so they can use cheap labor to build the same product. Kind of like how Alfa Romeo thought they were going to get away with that with the Alfa Romeo Milano, building it in Poland rather than Italy, so they can bring it back to the country and sell it for like $10,000 less because the labor in Poland is cheaper than Italy. But Italy got pissed off and basically told them that you cannot name this vehicle the Milano because they got a law in the books that says you cannot name products with Italian names if it's not built in Italy. So now the Alfa Romeo Milano is now called the Alfa Romeo Junior. And here goes the meat and potatoes of this particular article. The annual compensation of engineers in the United States or France tends to be in the range of $150,000 to $200,000, including benefits. Several people said engineers in countries such as Mexico, Brazil, or India can cost as little as 20 to 30% of that number. So there you go right there. They're basically going to fire all the American employees because American employees cost way too much money, and they're going to basically hire employees at a fraction of the price. So they're basically going to have like a 70 to 80% price savings by going outside the country, exporting jobs. That's why 94% of American workers have been fired for remote workers. At the U.S. headquarters in Auburn Hills, Stellantis in March cut off 400 engineering jobs, including people who worked on vehicle calibration and electronics and controls. The company is meanwhile seeking to hire electronics engineers to work in Mexico. And that is not the only place that they're going to look to hire more engineers at. So they replaced 400 engineers. They got rid of 400. And then since the new engineer is going to cost about 20% of the value of the American workers. Here we go. Stellantis also plans to hire about 500 engineers to add to the almost 4,000 it already has in Brazil. The South American Chief Operation Officer Emmanuel Capilano said in the interview, the engineers, many who are based in Betim, Brazil, focus on global products, he said. So really, you're seeing right here firsthand that they're going to fire all the U.S. workers and replace them with cheap labor overseas, Mexico, Brazil, and India. The push has in some instances caused problems during development. For example, in the steering system for the smart car platform, originally developed by India's Tata Consulting Services, according to some people, dozens of French and Italian engineers had to be flown in to work on the fixes, the people said. So basically, that talent over there in India wasn't as smart as the ones they replaced. And so they had to go hire engineers from France, where they're going to replace engineers from, and fly them to India to go fix something that they couldn't fix. A lack of engineering resources also creating production launch problems at the company's truck plant in Sterling Heights, according to Mike Spencer, the president of the UAW Local 1700. More cuts are planned in the coming months. That's interesting. So you see that, well, I don't know if you haven't seen this, but the Hemi production on the Ram 1500 stopped in February. And since February to now, they've been producing 2025 Hurricane-based trucks. And if you look around dealership lots, you don't see any Hurricane 2025 trucks on the lots yet. And I got another video I'm going to do where some UAW folks think that Stellantis is intentionally sabotaging the Sterling Heights plant in order to move production overseas. But I'll get to that one in another video. Stellantis is joined by its competitors, including Renault, and looking for engineering and software talent in emerging markets, or really cheaper markets. Its European arch rival eliminated 1,500 engineering jobs in France in recent years and has been building out hubs in Romania, cheap, Brazil, cheap, South Korea, cheap. Let's see, Renault CEO praised India's high level of competence. Well, not according to this last section we just read right here, where they had to fly in people from France and Italy to go and fix problems that they couldn't solve. Renault CEO praised India's high level of competence in areas such as cloud engineering, artificial intelligence, and autonomous driving during a recent press event. Yeah, if these guys couldn't fix some stuff earlier, I don't think I want a self-driving car made by them if they had to get engineers flown in to fix something that they didn't have no idea what to do. But just saying. Let's see. Stellantis is under growing pressure in Italy, where the government is pushing back on plans to eliminate thousands of jobs. Meanwhile, the workers in Italy and France have complained that Tavares' cost-cutting measures had led to an increased workload, unsanitary conditions in certain plants, a lack of work gear, and insufficient heating. That sounds a lot like a lot of the stuff that I'm hearing that the UAW is saying about Stellantis in some of the American plants, which, like I said, I'm going to play for you guys in another video about the Sterling Heights issue, and you're going to hear some of the same stuff. So this is not just something that's going on in Europe, it's actually happening here in America. Several proxy advisors criticized Tavares receiving $39 million compensation package, the highest among CEOs of traditional manufacturers, while preaching frugality to the Stellantis workforce amid plans to eliminate thousands of additional jobs. Let's see, Glass Lewis warned of a potential reputational risk to the company over the difference between the top management compensation and pressure on the rest of the staff. And you're going to see it in the coming months that Stellantis is going to be in serious doo-doo, because for one problem, especially in America, there's no Hemi engines. And so I think this Stellantis is going to be very, very deep doo-doo in the next year or two, because a lot of these dealers, they can't sell the remaining 2022 and 2023 model year vehicles that they have rotting on their lots. And I know there's some dealers who are skipping over ordering maybe 2024 to 2025 products from Stellantis because they had too much product sitting around. But that's it for this video, guys. Is Stellantis sacrificing quality for cheap labor overseas, because I don't know how engineers are going to work on products that are faulty in the US if they're all in Brazil or India or Romania or all these other countries that are not based in the US with cheap labor who are not familiar with the products. And typically, I would think that you would have a couple new engineers brought into a whole group of senior engineers who know what they're doing, not a bunch of rookie engineers working on products that are like 4, 5, 6, 7,000 pounds rolling around, especially with autonomous stuff going on. And these guys don't know what they're doing. But let me know what you guys think. And until the next controversy, I'm out.